lived in Joliet until I was about 5, and then my family moved to New Lenox, and I went to Lincoln Way High School. I was not a good student at all. I had to go to summer school every year, including the summer after I was supposed to graduate. And so that was a very awkward conversation that I had with my parents. I ended up graduating from Lincoln Way with a 1.0 GPA. My own experience with high school, maybe this isn't typical, but I felt that they wanted you to think a certain way, act a certain way, take the classes they wanted you to take, and you go to college and you're sort of encouraged to think for yourself and make your own rules, and some rules need to be remade. Not all, of course, but some. And you get to take the classes that interest you. It took me a while to figure it out. But the reason I went to JJC is that it offered me an opportunity that frankly no other college did. I was going to join the Navy. I didn't think I would be able to go to college. And I didn't know that community colleges had an open enrollment or open door enrollment policy. And so when I started looking into JJC, I decided that that was for me. This is where I took my first poli-sci classes. I was a poli-sci major at Illinois State, and I have a master's in poli-sci. So that is something that I've always been interested in. And JJC is where my interest in poli-sci first took root. I was a poor student. I was an angry, rudderless kid. And my uncle was murdered in an act of gun violence. And that really caused me to take stock in my life and turn things around. So I studied harder in school and ultimately graduated from JJC, went on to Illinois State University, and now I have a collection of degrees. John Marshall was not unlike JJC in that they were, their enrollment policy or their admissions policy was a little bit more liberal. They would give the scrappy kids like me a chance. And I think that the smart and scrappy kids often do much better than the kids with pedigree out of the gate. And when I graduated from law school, I was blessed to be offered a clerkship with a judge on the Illinois Supreme Court, helping that judge and other members of the Illinois Supreme Court shape their opinions. And I really just got the bug to become a judge at that point. Well, I ran for circuit judge in Will County in 2010. And I won by 336 votes out of 35,000. So if anyone thinks that their vote doesn't count, please know it does count. And when most people have an experience in court, it's typically with the circuit court. So if you have a traffic ticket, you're getting a divorce, you got into a car accident, you got hurt at work, you've been charged with a crime, maybe you want to just change your name or you want to adopt a child, you go to circuit court for that. If you don't like the result that you got, you can file an appeal. And there are 2 levels of appeals courts in Illinois. At the very top of that pyramid, you have the Illinois Supreme Court, but they only take a handful of cases every year. So in the middle, you have the appellate court, which is the court that I sit on. Nothing is getting cheaper these days, and lawyers certainly are not getting any cheaper. So I think it's important that we make the court system a little more user-friendly for folks who are representing themselves. Some of them got more than what they asked for, some got less, and some got exactly what they needed. But it was always a good day because we felt like we were helping people. And I do enjoy talking to kids in high school, for example, who maybe are on the verge of dropping out or not graduating. And I want them to know that there's opportunities out there for them to go to college, opportunities like JJC. And I know that college isn't for everyone, so I urge them to at least get their GED degree. And I want them to know that this is a really long race, and they're on the first lap. You don't need to win on the first lap. You just got to stay in the race.